Yeah! Welcome to House of Champions, YouTube friends. Drop in your comments and questions in the chat. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe buttons as we review the opening game for England at the World Cup Qatar 2022. And we preview today's other two games, including the opener for USA. Just a reminder, we have 50, maybe we'll move it up to 100 promo codes for a 30-day P Plus premium free trial to give away throughout the tournament. So please follow these instructions. Like, subscribe, and drop in your Twitter handle in the chat to enter. We've got about 100 to give away throughout the tournament. We want to give them away. So join in the conversation. I know you're out there watching. You're just wrapping up the England game right now. With my friends today, Nigel Rio-Coker. We have Michael Lahoud. James Benge will be joining us shortly. Nigel, let's talk about it, baby. England looking pretty damn good, man.
Before we even get into it, Ian, let's just ask the fans, please take it easy on Michael Lahoud. All the fans that are watching, tell your friends, get them all to come on. Just take it easy on Michael. You know, he said some absolute scandalous things on this pod about England, talking about England this, England that, and what a performance they've put in. But honestly, I'm not even going to talk too much about it, Ian. We've watched the game. We've seen what it is. I personally don't feel that it's too much of a game that you can be over cloud nine with from England's performance. It's a performance that's expected from England. They were very professional, they were clinical, and they got the job done. That's, I feel, for me, is the best way to describe it. My big thing is, for me, I feel that with Iran, they paid England too much respect. Anyone who knows the game of football, anyone who's played a game of football like you two have, it doesn't matter how good a player is. You put players under pressure, they will feel it and make mistakes and do different things. Iran showed England too much respect. And when I look at it, it goes to the bigger thing I want to talk about for me. These players are playing with an absolute burden on them that all of us would never imagine or know what it is. I love the game of football, and I know you guys love the game of football also. But there's some things that's bigger than football and mean more than this beautiful game that we love. These guys are playing with such a burden. Let's give them respect and credit for what they did for being brave. They did not even sing their own national anthem. Just for people to get into understanding how much repercussions these people will face, or if not them, their family will face back in Iran. That's a statement alone. That is a big statement that these players did. And I think with everything going back home, with the protest banner that we saw in the stadium, this is bigger than football. Some people could lose their lives over this. Family could lose their lives because they're protesting for freedom that they believe is right because of all the political stuff that's going on. No matter what people say, you try and put it out your mind. You've got to be professional. There's only a certain amount of players who can do that. But I personally, from my opinion, watching this game, you can see the constraint in these players and the burden that they're carrying onto that football pitch. And to not sing their own national anthem, knowing the repercussions that's going to come with that, I think that's very brave men. So that's why I'm not even going to talk too much about the game or anything about that sense. But I just think that we need to give credit to these players for what they did.
Yeah, listen, well said, Nigel Rio-Coker, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more. I do hope that you talk about the game at some point because I'd really like to get into the game, but I will say this. We are now learning that football is not necessarily just a game of entertainment. It is also a platform and an opportunity for players, for human beings, for coaches, for media members to politically have a statement, to make their statement, to have their voices being heard. And you saw that and have watched that from Iranian players in media press conferences. You've also seen it from the Iranian fans today, which was terrific. Thank you to producer Des for putting that up there. Women and freedom and an opportunity to showcase your voice, your opinion. So well said. And obviously we do want to get into the game, but Michael, your thoughts as well, mate.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Nigel. I'm glad you brought that up because prior to this game, Iranian players were making their protests and their voices heard. In that match against Uruguay, no celebration once they scored. It's an act of defiance. They're using football as a slow act of defiance to protest the horrors and the atrocities of what is going on. One of the first times since the revolution in the 70s that we've seen this sort of vitriol and violence and almost on the cusp of revolution going on in the country. That will weigh on you. These are human beings, as Nigel said, and both you guys said, and you could see the weight of it. they were lethargic. They weren't really in the game. You could see them second guessing themselves. In the second half, the burden kind of lifted a bit, and they were more on the front foot pressing, and it yielded in a goal through Mehdi Taremi. With regard to England, there's a quote I used it a couple weeks ago from Jose Mourinho. I'm going to use it again. If I speak about this England team, I am in trouble. I fully expect to be in trouble today. It's earned. Hey, credit to where credit is due. England, the shift from a back three to a 4-2-3-1. I've been waiting for this. When you put players in their natural positions, rocket science. They look more like a freaking team, Gareth Southgate. Bukayo Saka, he's not a wing back. He's a winger for the Arsenal. He's doing it in the Premier League. He's doing it for England. Jude Bellingham thought that shift and that balance between he and Declan Rice was spot on. One tactical adjustment, Bellingham playing more in an advanced role for Borussia Dortmund. We're seeing that offensive output come to good effect. The first goal, peach of a goal, and the small details matter. The timing of his run, the cross from Luke Shaw, but also he's moving away from goal, and to be able to crank your neck around it and put it in the top corner of the far post. This guy is not just a star of the present, he is a leader of the future for England.
Yeah, no, I think you're right in what you're saying, Mike. I think for me that there really isn't too much over analysis. I think the disappointing thing for me is I thought I'd see a lot more fight and character from Iran. We've already touched upon certain things, but in my opinion, this wasn't a real account of the Iran team that we know what they can do. And as we're discussing right now, I know we've got 10 minutes added on. It looks like there's a possible penalty check going on with VAR.
By the way, this is the longest game ever.
Yeah. And I think they're going to give this penalty definitely. Yeah.
You can see the tug on the jersey.
Clear obstruction, pulling the jersey.
Go ahead, Nigel, finish your point. Obviously, people are out there watching the end of the game as well, so we'll get a lot more people tuning in as they do. We'll kind of reshuffle and get back into the game. But
yeah, no, cool I think for me, it's again, Iran showed England too much respect. Credit to Gareth Southgate, finally letting England go out there and let the shackles off. And that's what I feel that Iran should have done. Iran should have let the shackles off their players, high press, getting in the England players' face. The difficult thing you do in the modern game of football is this. If you want to be a defensive-minded team, sit, hard to break down, you need some real threat with pace to get in behind. You need an outlet. That is what Iran didn't have. They tried to sit. They tried to be defensive. Credit to England. They were very patient. They kept play well. They kept moving the ball well until they could create something and create those openings. But you can't sit and defend deeply if you don't have pace as an outlet to be a threat against the opposition. And that's what Iran basically played without having real threat. And I thought that if they were a bit more adventurous and a bit more playing on the front foot, they probably could have created a bit more chances and caused England some problems.
Do you think there was a bit of an issue when obviously early on in the game we saw the goalkeeper, Bierenmard, getting taken off with the head injury? Do you think there's an issue there, Michael, at some point where
I'm glad
you set out a game plan and it doesn't necessarily work out early on, you know?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's a massive issue. A goalkeeper that you've relied on, you're bringing in a goalkeeper off the bench that has 7 caps. His 7th cap coming at the World Cup. Experienced goalkeeper. I think he's in his 30s. But if you're going in with 7 caps and one of them is a World Cup start when you're not expecting it, that's going to throw the entire back line off. It's going to throw a back line that's been working weeks, months, years with a goalkeeper that's in there. And when you have the added time on for this Iranian team going in, if you have less time going into half, it's like stop the bleeding and stop it now. And now it's just piling on. The goal differential is going to be a factor in this group, who I still expect to be tightly contested between Wales and the US for that second spot. It was calamity. And the amount of minutes going back to the goalkeeper with a concussion, why do you allow a goalkeeper who was clearly concussed to play on? I think that should have been addressed, nipped in the bud. You have way less time that you need to put towards an injury that should have been addressed and taken care of well ahead of time.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, it's not easy to be able to get these players to go off the field, by the way. And I understand that and I respect it 100%. When it comes to concussion protocol, realistically, the players should never have a say in it. When you see the state the goalkeeper was in, I mean, look at that picture right there. He should absolutely have been taken out before he had the choice to say, oh, no, you don't, you take me out here. No. Medical staff have to make these decisions more than anything else. And sometimes you got to make tough ones. So to allow him to even go back on for a minute, I thought was a bit embarrassing for the medical staff. But for the goalkeeper, let's just hope he's okay. Nigel, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think the problem is we've got to understand and let people know is the fact of we grew up in a generation of that bully boy tactics, the old school macho manliness and this and that. All we can do is educate this younger generation that this again is bigger than football. It's for your long-term health and the long-term goodwill of being able to have health after football. You know, these things are real. It's not made up science. These are real, scientifically proven. And that they, like Ian said, I just feel that all that power now should be taken away from players. It shouldn't be players that, no, I'm good, I want to stay on. No, it should be taken away from them. You need to come off, because I think that that's what needs to be done. It's educating the younger generation to understand how serious and important this is. In our generation, you'll be called soft if you got taken off. That's just the reality. They'll call you soft and not man enough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Barbaric.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that we think we've actually changed and we're into a new generation, but there's so many old style mentalities within our game that still needs to be pushed out as well. If you're just tuning in, welcome everybody to House of Champions. England game just finished now. They won by 6-2. Mehdi Taremi just scored a last-minute penalty kick, probably the longest game in World Cup history as well, outside of extra time and penalty kicks. That was an unbelievable performance from England. Terrific all the way around. Started early on for them with Jude Bellingham getting the opening goal. Bukayo Saka had an absolutely outstanding game for him. He got a couple of goals. Yes, Raheem Sterling scored an absolute stunner as well. His first World Cup goal. Believe it or not, he had 14 shots in Brazil and Russia World Cups combined and never scored a goal. Only took his first shot on target to get that goal in Qatar. Great for Marcus Rashford to come off the bench and get his goal. The same for Jack Grealish. Wonderful little assist from Callum Wilson. And Mehdi Taremi got a couple of goals, making it 30 goals for him for Iran. To everybody else out there who's tuning in right now to House of Champions, let us know your thoughts on the game. England, how good were they? Do you think they could potentially now go deep into competition? Has it changed your mind on England? Are they better than we thought? Michael Hood, I'm coming to you first here because England got the victory. Terrific performance. Iran certainly got smoked, as Matt just said. England looked really strong. What a great start it was for them.
Yeah, and it goes down to the fact that it was a balance between players in form and the loyalty that Gareth Southgate has given to players that have really backed him in the last two tournaments. You look down the spine, the Harry Kanes, the Declan Rices, and of course, Harry Maguire, Pickford in goal. What I liked about this game, it was a total team performance. Look at the number of goal scorers, guys coming off the bench to contribute. And I loved the presence of youth. Jude Bellingham, the dollars keep ticking up. Add £1 million, add 10 million pounds to this kid's potential future transfer fee. Love everything. Complete midfielder.
More like 10 million to his salary, Michael, rather than the transfer fee.
To his Manchester United future salary, but that's for a future. I see you, Nige. I see you. But I love this generation of young players that England have. Going back to the U17 World Cup where they won the U20 World Cup. These players are now breaking through the cycle, and it's a good decision to start the likes of Bellingham and Saka. One player who this was a big game for him, Harry Maguire. I thought he was excellent on the day. Yes, Taremi got on the other side of him for the first goal, but his passing was so crucial on the first goal. It was his entry passes. If you don't put pressure on Harry Maguire, he is good enough to break lines. That is a big part of his game. He can advance the ball. He can break lines when he has time and space. And shocker, like I said, 4-2-3-1. Harry Maguire plays a 4-2-3-1 at club level. Hasn't played as much this year, but still plays a 4-2-3-1 with United. Luke Shaw and Kieran Trippier, outstanding. Two of the best crossers in the league. Trent included, but in the league, give him wide, get him space, and get him in the final third. And then you get numbers in the box around Harry Kane with Sterling and Saka playing closer to him, and Mason Mount as well doing the business with that free roll.
We're reviewing England's 6-2 win over Iran. You're watching House of Champions. If you're just tuning in, let us know what you thought of Harry Maguire's performance. Would you rate it between 1 and 10? What would you give it? 1 being terrible, 10 being Michael Hood's top-class performance from Harry Maguire. Almost got his goal as well. Yes. Nigel, I want to ask you about the quality of the goals that England scored. I mean, this was not just a convincing performance. I would say the goals were of exceptional quality today. I mean, this was an England side that looked confident. Team chemistry looks very, very good. Certainly didn't look like they were struggling with any heat conditions this time out. Sure, it's in the evening over there. But I just thought the quality of goal from England today was really world-class level.
Ian, just before I get into that, why is Michael all of a sudden sounding like an England fan after he was disrespecting England and this and that? Now he sounds like England's biggest fan ever. How dare you? How dare you, Michael? Anyway, the quality of the goals was fantastic, you know, and I think technical levels in England have improved a tremendous amount from when we were younger. And I think a greater understanding with the influx of foreign managers that we've had, different styles, a lot more concentration has been paid to being comfortable on the ball in tight areas and working on the technique constantly. I think that has played a part. And for me, it's, again, I said it earlier, in professional, patient, and clinical. That's the best way to describe England's performance today. Those were the words that describe it the best. Great goals, great movement. It's what you expect from them. I think that, again, it's the fact of people need to understand when you play your first game in tournament football, especially tournaments like this, there's that great pressure to get that first win. That first win is so vital in the first game, regardless of your opponent, especially in the group stages. But I just felt, for me, again, the difference in England, what I liked and what I saw was Gareth Southgate letting these players go out and play, giving them the freedom, taking the shackles off to go out there and express themselves. Jude Bellingham was absolutely immense. Saka was fantastic. And in our little private group chat we had, I know in England there was some mumblings at the fact of people raising an eyebrow that Saka was starting ahead of Phil Foden, which for me, I said, I don't understand how people could even raise an eyebrow at that, because he's been in fantastic form for Arsenal. He deserves to start. He needs to start because, again, he's as vital as Jude Bellingham. They give him that extra X factor in the final third. Again, I still think it's really hard to really analyze England in this game, because I don't think this was the Iran that we all expected to see. There's a lot more going on in this Iran team, not just football wise. But I think for me, I've always been someone that I always like to judge England against the likes of Germany, Spain, France, Brazil, and Argentina. And that's not being disrespectful, but that's just the level of quality that they're at and the level of players that I know that they can play at. It's just whether the right managers can get things going. And I think what Gareth Southgate has done so far, he deserves a lot of credit. And sometimes it's silly to question a manager that's brought England so far in such a short space of time.
While you're watching House of Champions, it's Ian Joy, Nigel Reo-Coker, and Michael Lahoud. We were supposed to have James Benge with us, but unfortunately he was delayed. His plane was delayed, his train was delayed, the car traffic and the motorway. I'm not sure what was going on. But everybody, please welcome James Benge to the show. Here he is. He's got a big smile on his face.
Can I just be clear? It wasn't me that was delayed. It was the 24 minutes of added time that this game had. I was still filing as you guys. I mean, the game was still going on, wasn't it, as you guys started? But I'm here to make sure that the respect from Mike Lahoud that is aimed at Gareth Southgate is as loud as the slander. A really excellent clinical performance by England. Actually, I was just listening to what Nigel was saying there. I kind of have to disagree. I think these games are just as important as the ones against your Germanys and your Spains, because what the England team needed to do and what Southgate needed to get the public back on side, and Nigel, you'll know from being around the national team, even from afar, the public matters, especially to England. The conversation matters. They just needed to thrash a team. They needed to put them to the sword, to keep going. And you could really tell that, couldn't you? You know, they didn't really step off the gas at 3-0 up or at 5-1 up. They wanted more, and boy, did they get them.
Yeah.
Do you think that, James? Sorry, Mike.
No,
I was going to say quickly. Do you think, James, that the problem with England at times we get is the press? The press plays a part in it, and I think, like what you were saying there, you're right. Because obviously, I'm not looking at it from that angle. I was only more about the analyzing of the game. Can't get my words out. It's the thing is, if they didn't win this because of the results against Hungary, the Germany results was good building up to this World Cup, that the knives would have been out, that people would be waiting to start taking pokes at Gareth Southgate, team selection, players, what's he doing? Because it's kind of like the British press wants England to fail to a certain degree, which is crazy.
I don't fully agree with that. I mean, certainly everyone that goes out there is an England fan, but I think we have to differentiate between the back pages of the newspaper and the front pages, where there is a little bit more appetite for England to fail. I won't talk long because I'm talking over Mike a bit as well.
No.
But I think I think there's this cycle that's, especially in this modern era, it's kind of all stoked by social media, and you get a lot of people that are maybe Premier League fans but not England fans, that love to have their say on Southgate and maybe don't understand. You know, you and I were talking about this, weren't we, in New York? The impact that Southgate has had as a leader in England and I'm sure everyone understands this. Maybe this is less true though in the States where, football isn't the national sport. Being England manager is about second or third in the list of most important people in the country behind the King and the Prime Minister, and maybe whoever's hosting Bake Off. This is and one thing we've got to remember about Southgate is he's an excellent leader of the country, of the people. He sets the agenda. I think he's made England an inclusive place to be for the players. You just talked, it's made them such a happy place to be. And I am, I'm not going to pussyfoot around it. I'm really glad that Southgate has kind of got the critics off his back because, online and in print, because it was unfair. It was completely unreasonable for an experimental Nations League. And I'll stop talking now.
No, I love everything that you're saying, Benj, about the inclusion. What I loved about this performance, you look at what happened after the Euros, the racism, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, these players, redemption happening today. Bukayo Saka putting in a dynamite performance, getting the goals, and to see the smile on his face, to see the likes of a Jude Bellingham going over Harry Kane, going over to celebrate, to acknowledge what he went through. That is a team, that is unification, and that's what you want to see if you're going to have a good World Cup campaign. These players, remember, it wasn't that long ago that those things happened. For Marcus Rashford to come and within seconds score a goal, which I, by the way, predicted. I think probably anyone could have predicted that given the way the game was going. But to see those things happen, those are some of the underlying things that have really helped England to be successful in the last couple of years. I just hope they don't happen the next game against the USMNT.
God, they will.
Let me just jump in here real quickly and just say we understand and we respect what Iran was going through. These players are really carrying a heavy weight going into this game, and we respect that. But if we can just focus on the England performance, let's not forget, Nigel, I'll talk to you about this one because it's a fantastic point that Mike brings up. I was particularly happy, and James, I can't wait to hear you jump in on this as well. But I was particularly happy for Saka because of obviously what Mike just said. When you miss a big moment like that against Italy, and then you get racial abuse on social media and in life and on the streets and in the stadiums. And it's also the criticism that Marcus Rashford has received and include racial discrimination on that one as well. We are starting to see these players really come together as a group, maybe because of that. They're saying they hear the noise, they hear and they understand that this is a very difficult moment for them individually. But as a team, you can tell that these players are united, basically saying, fuck them. We are going to stick together. We are going to be a team. We are going to be united. And you can see all of these players come together. But I'm particularly really pleased with what you just pointed out there, Mike. Saka and, of course, Rashford for the abuse that they have received. And I love Bellingham's celebration as well with the open arms. It's almost as if he's saying to England, like, join us, be with us, and we will maybe bring success to you. So these players deserve a lot of credit because they're also carrying pressure.
I wouldn't say saying join us, be with us. I'm just thinking saying, yeah, I'm the man. I'm the bad man of this tournament. I think Michael makes a great point, Ian. And for me, it's I've been in England set up. I know what it's like, and I know what it's like to be British. All of what you're saying is 100% right. But do you know what, Ian? The person who deserves a lot more credit, because like James said, what I've seen is this: Gareth Southgate. He is a leader. He's the one that's been brave, because there's been so many people in the press generally will criticize and be very negative in the sense of picking certain players, and it generally always tended to be some of the black players. Gareth Southgate has said, forget it, I'm picking them. There was rumblings of why does Raheem Sterling deserve to go? He's not on form. It's all the same things, and it's not about Sterling's footballing ability. It's other things that he does. Same thing with Marcus Rashford. It's other things that he does, doing this free meal for kids at school. It's those things that people pay more attention to than the football. Gareth Southgate is the man that makes this England team what it is. He is the leader that's got them all together to finally bond as one. And you hear so many stories from ex-players, players who've been in the England system will tell you there was always this North v divide. There was always this club versus country thing. That really did happen in England. I witnessed it in sometimes, and I went with under 21s and then with the senior side as well. I was once there. I've witnessed it. It happens. It comes from a great manager who lets all that go aside and see a great togetherness. Everything that you are seeing there, that only comes from a manager doing all the work behind closed doors to show a great united England team. So I think he deserves a bigger credit. I think for Saka and them lot, growing up in England, growing up in London, there's a lot that they're going to go through and see. they have to be strong characters. And these are things and hurdles they know they're going to have to come up and face against. And the question you ask these youngsters is, I think because of what they've seen some of the older generations go through, is keep on going. Pick yourself back up, keep on going. It's not easy, but they know that they can do it. And that's the only way they can go about it. And I think Gareth Southgate is the one that's showing great belief in them and continuing to pick them and bring them into this England squad.
I'd just like to maybe finish, certainly from my perspective, with a word on Saka, especially just the nature of my career. The first games I saw Bukayo Saka play were for Arsenal under-21s, Arsenal under-18s. You know, there's very early days back in his formative career, the EFL Trophy. I thought he was really good. I didn't know he was going to be this good. But also, you know, in that, and you know, I did his first external interview with him. So I think, you know, it was really tough then when he missed that penalty in Euro 2020 because, you know, as Nigel was kind of alluding to there, you knew that it wasn't that he was going to get grief. You knew he was going to be racially abused. He knew as well. You could see in his eyes. And the same with Sancho, same with Rashford. The way that those players, and I think maybe this is something we forget when we talk a little bit about Sancho and Rashford, but in particular with Saka, the way he fought through that, he grew as a person, as a leader, and as a player, and he is now one of. I think we need to sort of take the word young off him, take the word young off Bellingham. These are some of the best players in the world in their position. Fearless, fun. They make, you know, even Tottenham fans, I suspect a few of them might begrudgingly enjoy watching Saka over the next few weeks. I think he speaks to the character and the quality of this England team, and it's, you know, it is so great to see him enjoying his time back at a major tournament.
Yeah, certainly a terrific performance by a lot of these individual players, but as a team, England looked sensational today with a 6-2 win over Iran. A little stat coming out of the game, only 2 teenagers have ever scored for England at a World Cup, Michael Owen being one of them, and now we welcome Jude Bellingham with his celebration intact. I thought it was terrific, great to see the only player in the England squad that is not playing domestically in England get a goal. His price tag has now just gone through the roof. James Bench, before we go to break real quickly, just need a quick 20 seconds from you. The no one love armband from Harry Kane. Thoughts on that?
I mean, we shouldn't blame the FA and we shouldn't blame Harry Kane because to an extent they've been forced into this position by FIFA not letting them do something that was totally reasonable. I would have liked to have seen Kane be willing to take the yellow card, but the idea, can we just knock on the head the idea that football is not political? 1930, 1934. Why do you think Uruguay and why do you think Italy hosted these tournaments? The World Cup is a vehicle for soft power. It always has been. It always will be. If Qatar wants to project its global influence onto the world, into our living rooms, that's fine. But then anyone else at that tournament should absolutely be entitled to make a reasonable political statement, which is exactly what a One Love armband was.
Probably the best comment that we've seen on House of Champions. Round of applause, everybody out there. Even if you're at home watching House of Champions right now, a little round of applause for James Bench, who was late to the show, but thank you very much for that wonderful comment. It was worth waiting for. All right, everybody, let's take a quick break. That wraps it up for England. What a fantastic win for them. They've got the United States of America coming up on the 29th. We look forward to that game. When we come back, we will preview the other 2 games that are coming up, including USA. You are watching House of Champions. Be right back.
Don't stop watching. Christian Pulisic.
Outstanding from the American.
All skill, all class, and all American at work across the pond.
Pulisic finds the net.
The UEFA Champions League. Stream Chelsea matches live February on Paramount Plus.
All right, the soccer world eyes are focused on Qatar for the biggest event on the global stage. Stay up to date with every story and every heart-pounding moment with the Golazzo Starting 11 newsletter from CBS Sports. It's your ultimate guide to the beautiful game, taking you beyond the pitch and around the globe with expert analysis of everything you need to know in the world of soccer. Sign up today for free at cbssports.com/Golazzo. Once again, it's the Golazzo Starting 11 newsletter, and you can sign up for free at cbssports.com/Golazzo. Golazzo. Welcome back to House of Champions, everybody. We have just wrapped up talking about England and their convincing victory. Great start for the English. But how about we turn our attention, Michael Lahoud, to the big game here in the United States of America. It is Team USA taking on Wales. What a game it's going to be. We're really looking forward to it. Greg Berhalter and his team certainly look like they're up for this game, getting a call from the president. But before we talk about Wales, let's focus on the nation. Yes, Team USA. Are they ready for this game, Mike? Are you confident that they can get the victory? And how do you see them getting that victory?
Well, I like the fact that the England game is hours before this game. They will have seen what England did. They will have known that they will have to get a win. I don't think this is a game they can afford to get a draw. And I said it yesterday, maybe 1-1. That was more being conservative. This is a game they have to go for. This is a Wales team that, yes, they have Gareth Bale, one of the biggest superstars in the world, still has class. He showed it in the qualifying rounds. Free kick against Ukraine. This guy, if you put it on his left boot, he will trouble you. They will surround him every time he gets the ball. Ramsey as well, playing well this season. This is a U.S. team, though. The big question I have is who's going to be their starting striker? Is it going to be Jesus Ferreira or Josh Sargent? I would go with Sargent. I would go with Sargent up top. Sargent's, he's been informed. He's playing well in England. So why not play him against a UK team like Wales, where he's going to be able to ride physical challenges. He's going to be able to hold the ball up, and he's a poacher. In the World Cup, if you're the U.S., you thrive on players who can poach, maybe half chances. Wales will give you a half chance. They play a back five. They'll sit deep, absorb. But I think this Wales team will try to be more on the offensive, and the counterattack could be on for the U.S.
Nigel?
Listen, I keep saying it, the Americans keep underestimating this Wales side. And I think I'm telling you, you keep underestimating Wales at your peril. This is
Where's their quality then, Nigel? Tell us how they can beat the USA. Don't just say that we're underestimating Wales.
Because all you guys,
Thank you, Ian.
all you guys keep on talking about is Gareth Bale. You forget Moore and James. You also forget Allen and Ramsey. Great experience in the midfield area. They can keep the ball a lot better in midfield than America can. And they've got a front three attacking that can destroy America's defense. Michael said it himself. He questions America's defense. Americans have said it. They're centre back pairing. They haven't decided.
When was the last time Wales won a game?
That's a good question.
This is the World Cup. This is the World Cup. It doesn't matter when was the last time. All those things don't matter now in the World Cup. You know it yourself, Ian. You can say that. Look at England's run before this World Cup. Lost to Hungary, greatest defeat against in the history of England for a while. They draw with Germany. Questions about England, and they go and beat Iran 6-1.
Go back.
Yeah, but they beat Iran. They beat Iran.
Germany.
You're not talking about a competitive opponent here.
I'm telling you now, listen,
against Iran in any way, but
the
this
game
is an evenly matched game where you've got to convince me that Wales have something to beat this US side.
Wales
I'm not saying that the USA are a clear favorite in any way.
Wales have something.
But I think it's a competitor for them.
My thing is, Wales do have a front three that is a lot more clinical than what America can offer. America's defense is very questionable, which Michael said and other Americans have said too. That is where Wales will be America. Wales are ready for this World Cup, and America keep underestimating the quality that Wales possess.
I just want to dive in as well and talk about that front three. I think when you look at the areas that the American defense is weak in, I think they mesh well with Wales's attacking strength. So someone like Dan James, he's not a great finisher, but Greg Berhalter, if he wants to play that high line that he's been playing throughout qualifying, Dan James is going to have a lot of joy because, you know, the Wales don't have any airs and graces about them. They're not going to, you know, they can build through midfield. In someone like Ramsey, they can have possession, but they can also hoof it long. They'll be happy to do that. Kiefer Moore, who, by the way, has been fantastic in the Premier League this season. Him knocking the ball on to Dan James, knocking it down to Gareth Bale. For me, like that's why I shade Wales in terms of the moments. I think the one thing I disagree with Nigel on is I like that USMNT midfield. I think Adams, Musa, not McKennie. I'm not a huge McKennie fan, but either way, that midfield can control the game. But the moments that can turn a game, who do I trust? I trust the Welsh front three. I like the Wales defense. They've been together for years. It's like a club team. That's kind of why I edge towards Wales. I think that they will have the game in the two penalty areas, and to an extent you can survive whatever Musa and Adams do to you in the center of the pitch.
I'm not sure you can.
Yeah, I think this game is going to come down to, I love you said Kiefer Moore and his physical presence. The U.S. men's national team do struggle against bigger opposition because they're undersized center backs and back line. What this game is going to come down to is mobility in midfield, where the U.S. have an edge. Tyler Adams is going to be key because when you are Wales and you're going to hoof it long, Wales isn't a team that will break you down by 10,000 passes. If the U.S. goes to a mid block or low block, Wales will have to break them down, which I don't think they have enough quality to do outside of Gareth Bale dropping deep to play make. Tyler Adams, his ability to shade in front of Gareth Bale, that's a big part of his game in the Premier League. If you look at the games that he's had, his best games for Leeds, it's been winning second balls. It's been winning duels on the ground. If Tyler Adams can do that, the mobility of Musa and McKinney, if they can do that, overwhelm Wales with their athleticism and mobility in midfield, then that's going to create transition opportunities where they can now break with their front three. Is there?
Andy's frozen.
Thank
Nigel.
God. Thank God. All that gibberish nonsense. Thank God. The football gods have answered us.
Kick him out.
Get out of here.
Go ahead, Nigel.
Get out of there talking nonsense. Ian, come on. Oh, he's back.
I'm
Okay.
back. I'm back. I'll just cap it off. Because I was on a roll and about to sprinkle some stardust on this game. This is going to come down to the U.S. men's national team being opportunistic when they get their half chance. Is it going to be Josh Sargent? Is it going to be possibly Tim Weah? Obviously, Christian Pulisic. He is going to be a player that I am keen on seeing how he reacts to this big moment. A lot of eyes on him. Off the bench, you have Gio Reyna, and I think Brendan Aronson could be possibly two players coming off the bench, but there's options now in attack that they didn't have throughout qualifying.
I just think also, Mike, what you fail to realize is, I know you're saying about Gareth Bale, and again, whenever you speak to a lot of Americans, the only person they talk about is Gareth Bale. There's more to this Wales side than Gareth Bale. He's not going to pick up the ball and beat 5 or 6 players and be the Gareth Bale that we used to see, basically running from box to box for Tottenham and scoring goals like it was nothing. He has the ability to make those passes, like James alluded to. Daniel James is very dangerous, got a tremendous amount of pace. Like we talked about today, if you want to be a team that sits deep defensively, you have to have pace that's a threat, that's quality. Daniel James gives Wales the ability to play football and be direct. They can mix this game up so much for USA, and I don't feel USA are fully equipped enough to be able to handle it. But I just can't wait for this game to happen because I can't wait.
It's going to be so funny. Dan James doesn't start.
Let me just jump in real quickly and have a little bit of a say here. I hear and respect both of your opinions. Obviously, I love both of you as well. But I think you're underestimating this US side. They are young, right? They're a little bit raw. And I think we recognize that. They've got a long way to go. And we don't really know if they'll be able to turn it up on the big stage. We really don't know. We're hoping, as US soccer fans, me and Mike are certainly hoping that they can turn it up. But if they do turn up, and that's where our hope and our inspiration comes from, if this US side with Gio and Eunice and obviously even Brennan Aronson, Weston McKinney, I'm not sure if he's going to start today, Christian Pulisic, if those boys turn it up, there is not a chance in hell that this Welsh team could even match them, Nigel. They're not on the same level as some of these players, not even in the same category of player. So don't even come at me with this bullshit about Wales and we're underestimating them. We recognize Wales. I have a lot of respect for the players that they have. They are a good group. They have a great team spirit. They have passion. They have patriotism, and I respect them. However, they are not on the level that US will be if the US reach their full potential. The question is, Michael Lahoud, more than anything else, I've not seen this US team reach their full potential yet. I'm only hoping that they can reach their full potential. They need 4 or 5 players to really turn up today to get the win today, and I believe they do.
Yeah, this is a USMNT team, though, that plays to the level of their competition. And in this group, hopefully they don't play the level of Iran with what we saw today, but they will be up for this game. They know that, yes, the youthful guile and exuberance, they don't know how good they are. And when young players don't know what their ceiling is, they can go and do anything. I love the fact that the rest of the world, especially the whole British island, is underestimating him. Keep underestimating him. I know you got your 6'2", your capes are flying, but keep underestimating this USMNT team. And I hope to God we're not tuning in later this afternoon and I have to eat my words. God, that would suck.
Ian, I prefer you with your German shirt on. So next time, wear your bloody German shirt. If you come up with anything to Germany, I'm not going to say a word because I respect the Germans. They are serious, but don't, please, no, not with a USA shirt and coming with that bollocks and saying that they're not on the same atmosphere as USA. Come on,
They're
that's
not on the
just
same level,
ridiculous
Nigel.
talk.
No chance. They're
No
not on the same
chance.
level, mate.
Don't
They're
talk
not
to me.
on
No,
the same
come on.
level.
Come on.
They're not. All right.
No.
A few comments coming in here. This one in particular caught my attention from Vicky. Said the United States will defeat Wales. I don't understand why Nigel is going wild for them. Understandably, I mean, that's probably the greatest compet. Here we go. Vic also talking about Nigel. Absolute nonsense, Nigel. We're coming for Nigel later on this afternoon. Now, we've already got someone who's in the waiting room for that chat later on this afternoon. James, just real quickly, you talked about the USA in particular, and you mentioned the weakness along that back line. But where is the true quality from Wales? And what do you think the score is going to be real quickly before we move on to the game that's about to kick off?
So, I mean, the true quality is the experience this team have together and the fact that Ramsey and Bale look like the players of 5 or 6 years ago when they play in a Wales shirt. So kind of for that reason, because they have the superstar talent, I'm going 2-1 Wales.
Love to hear it. 2-1 Wales. Let's hear it, Nigel.
I'm with James. I'm going to go 2-0 Wales. That's why James finishes top of the prediction table, unlike Ian, who's at the bottom. No,
I'm not at the bottom. Don't be silly.
Look at the back.
Go on, Mike.
So I am at the bottom because I went with my head instead of my heart. I'm going with my heart this time because both of you are talking absolute nonsense today. I'm going 2-1 USA. I said 1-1 in my prediction sheet, but you just added a goal to the US with what you just said today.
Robin Wolfram says 1-1 USA Wales, but also says Saka, the phenomenon. Big up from India, Arsenal fan here. Shout out to you, Robin. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to everybody out there for tuning in. All right, we got a game kicking off in just a minute here in Group 8, Senegal against the Netherlands. The team is out. Obviously, we were all questioning what we would see from Senegal up top. They've gone with Sarr, Dia, and Diatta. Up top for the Netherlands is Janssen, Gakpo, and Bergwijn. Both teams look incredibly strong. I can see both teams scoring today, but I guess it's difficult to pick a favorite. For me personally, I would go for the Netherlands as being a favorite in this game. Nigel, what do you have for the Netherlands? What do you think about the Senegal lineup, and how do you see this game playing out?
I think, like you said there, Ian, it's very strong from both sides. It really is. But again, we can have all the opinions and views that we want, but it's tournament football. The World Cup is here now. All the time for talking is done. It's who turns up. But I would still give the edge to Netherlands. I really would. I think Senegal are a great side. I will give that edge to Netherlands.
Wow. James?
I'm baffled by the idea that these are two really strong teams. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
what? I mean, there's good players in both teams, but I've just seen a Dutch team line up with Vincent Janssen, who is rubbish. He's definitely going to score 3 now, isn't he?
Wow,
I mean, you look at that. You look at that
James.
Senegal. You look at that Senegal midfield, and it's like fringe players for lower mid-table Premier League teams. It's Kouyaté, Papi Mendy, and Idrissa Gueye is good.
Yeah.
That's harsh. I just don't. I'm a bit more underwhelmed by a game I was really excited about, having seen these lineups. I think, kind of, in the end, I think Senegal have clearly decided the best thing to do now is rely on a really good collection of defenders and 3 defensive midfielders in front of them and see what comes on the break. I would think the Dutch will have kind of enough quality to grind it down and to keep. I mean, definitely they'll keep things solid at the back with that back 5. But yeah, I'm quite underwhelmed by these starting 11s.
It's a fair point. Michael?
Yeah, the choice to go with Vincent Janssen over Luke de Jong. Luke de Jong having an absolute revival, and my dogs agree with that. They're pissed that they saw Vincent Janssen.
Do you remember when the Dutch were sort of choosing between like Patrick Kluivert and Dennis Bergkamp?
Now Luke de Jong. But I don't understand that selection. Luke de Jong is having an absolute revival. A big part of why PSV have been successful this season. PSV top of the Eredivisie. Luke de Jong, Cody Gakpo in the midfield. I do like their midfield choices, but I don't get those sort of choices. Louis van Gaal is known for being an absolute madman when it comes to World Cups. The midfield quality, though, with de Jong, Gakpo, and Berghuis scoring goals, I think you'll see if Berghuis can get forward, if Frankie de Jong can get in the box and dictate things, I do think that is where the difference is going to be, but I don't see it with Vincent Janssen.
Form for players at their domestic club does play a part in this World Cup just because of the timing of the World Cup. I give you that. But can we not, let's just take it back a bit. It's a different scenario for players when they're playing at international level with international players than at their domestic club. So it's hard to really judge a lot of these players domestically at their club, whatever situation their club is in, compared to when they get to this international level, because you're playing with the best of your best for your nations. Yes, sometimes you can question the inclusion and maybe managers' direction they want to go in. But I think we're all having a great conversation there, but we all have no idea, because this game could really surprise us. And like you said, Senegal, James, are going to be very defensively organized, solid, but they have players with pace to be very dangerous and hit this Netherlands team on counterattack.
Producer Des is adamant that we actually include here that you win World Cups on defenses. So how about that Dutch backline? They have Ake, Van Dijk, and De Ligt along that backline. We also have to give credit to what Senegal have along their backline. I mean, they have got tremendous ability and strength and awareness. And these players are playing at the highest level. Koulibaly, obviously, captain in the side as well. So it could be the battle of the best defenses here. I actually predict that we will see both teams scoring, James, today. Even though we do have the backlines as solid and you win championships on backlines, thanks, producer Des. But I've got both teams scoring and the Netherlands getting a victory today. So give me your prediction. And if you have a goal scorer as well, who you think will get on a score sheet today, James, tell me.
I think 1-0 to the Netherlands. I know he's not starting. I presume he'll come on, though. Let's say Memphis Depay scores it, but I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not looking at this expecting a cracker.
Nigel?
It's going to be a very tight game. My heart's telling me now for some reason to go with Senegal. I've got to go against the grain. My heart's telling me, I'm telling you, but I think the Dutch will win it, and I'm going to go 2-1 to the Netherlands.
I'm going 1-1. Senegal is a team that is very good defensively. In their AFCON triumph throughout the World Cup qualifying campaign, they soak up pressure, and they don't have the quality of Sadio Mane, but they still have quality in the likes of Ismail Yassar. This guy shows up for Senegal. He was a big difference for them in their AFCON triumph. He was a big difference when he got fit and was in form for them in World Cup qualification. And they also have Bamba Dieng. What he cannot do for OM this season, I know we laugh about my new OM obsession and OM's biggest fan on House of Champions, but this guy does score goals for Senegal. If it's 0-0, the longer this game goes 0-0, Senegal will use the physical play of Bamba Dieng to come off the bench and maybe nip something in the final third.
Do you know, I actually hope that Vincent Janssen scores now after James's comment. He just absolutely hammered Janssen right at the get-go there, James. So I'm hoping that Janssen scores a goal today. No, I actually think Cody Gakpo is a really good appointment there. He's probably going to sit behind the strikers, and he's the one that I have potentially getting a goal in this game. I'm hoping both teams score. I hope we get a great game. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I do have the Netherlands just shading it slightly, although you all make a very good point here. This game might be won by the best defense in the game. So, boys, I appreciate you. That wraps it up. Our early kickoff is in the books there. Convincing victory from England, 6-2 against Iran. Some top-class performances from certain individuals, but overall, England as a team were absolutely terrific. You're going to see the best team in Group B playing later on today. It's the USA against Wales. Really looking forward to that matchup. But coming up in just a few moments' time, it'll be the Netherlands against Senegal. We will be back right after the USA game, 4 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you tune in. Thanks to everybody out there for listening to House of Champions. Please make sure you take a minute to leave us a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere else you listen to your podcast. Also available as video on YouTube, which you are watching right now. We are available on podcast format as well. These early ones won't be, but make sure you tune in, subscribe, let your friends know that we're here. Also join in the conversation because you guys are what makes House of Champions, and we are here just for you. Before I sign out, Robin Wolfram says, Senegal 1, Netherlands 2. I agree. From us at House of Champions, we'll see you later on, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Pop Will Kimru.